Before the stadiums, the Guinness records, the platinum certifications, and the billions of streams, there was a boy from Busan, shy, soft-spoken, unsure of his own voice, who almost walked away from the dream that would one day reshape global pop music. In late 2025, as the world celebrates Jungkook's success after his post-military comeback. Many new fans still don't know the full story behind how he became Jungkook of BTS. To understand his current global dominance, you have to go back to the beginning, long before the bright lights and global fame. Back to a time when nothing was guaranteed, and everything could have turned out very differently. This is the true, factual, deeply human story of Jungkook's pre-debut struggles, and how a series of choices, coincidences, failures, and moments of courage built the foundation of a superstar. Jungkook was born on September 1st, 1997, in Busan. He wasn't loud. He wasn't the center of attention. He wasn't the child people predicted would become a global celebrity. But he moved. He danced whenever music played. He drew endlessly. He was artistic, but he wasn't confident. His teachers described him as talented but reserved. His family described him as bright but easily embarrassed. Jungkook later described himself as simply a shy kid who didn't know what he wanted. Nothing about young Jungkook suggested that he would someday lead a global cultural wave, but talent has a way of revealing itself, slowly, quietly, unexpectedly. In 2011, at age 13, Jungkook auditioned for the Korean talent show Superstar K3. It was supposed to be a shot in the dark, something fun, something small, something no one expected to go anywhere, but that audition changed everything. Even though Jungkook didn't advance in the competition, his short performance revealed something extraordinary, a voice that made industry professionals stop and turn. That one audition clip sparked a chain reaction. Agencies began to notice him. Calls were made. Interest grew. What he thought was a small, forgettable moment suddenly became the door to a new world. After his appearance on Superstar K, 7 different entertainment companies contacted him and offered him a chance to train Point 7. For a shy boy from Busan, it was overwhelming. The companies included some of the biggest names in K-pop. At the time, large, wealthy, well-known agencies with strong track records, and then there was a tiny, struggling company called Big Hit Entertainment. Known by almost no one, Big Hit wasn't a logical choice. IT wasn't a strategic choice. IT certainly wasn't the smart choice. But Jungkook saw something, not in the company, but in a person that in interviews. Jungkook has repeatedly said, "I joined Big Hit because I thought Hyung was cool." This is not an exaggeration. This is not a marketing myth. This is the literal truth. A 13-year-old Jungkook traveled to Seoul, saw RM, then an underground rapper trainee, and was stunned by his presence. Something clicked. Jungkook later said that RM looked like a real musician, someone who lived and breathed the craft. Someone who embodied the kind of artistry Jungkook aspired to understand. That moment changed the course of K-pop history. If Jungkook had chosen a different agency, BTS wouldn't exist in the same way the lineup could have changed the group's signature vocals, center position, and visual identity would be different. Modern K-pop history might be completely rewritten, but he didn't choose logic. He didn't choose money. He didn't choose comfort. He chose someone who inspired him. Leaving Busan for Seoul was one of the toughest decisions of Jungkook's life. He was only 13. He had never lived away from his family. He was suddenly surrounded by older trainees, intimidating practice schedules, and a completely new world. Adjusting wasn't easy. At one point, Jungkook admitted that he cried because he missed home. He didn't know how to express himself. He didn't have confidence in his skills. He didn't think he was good enough to become an idol. These were not glamorous trainee days. These were survival days. He trained quietly. He observed. He struggled, but he didn't quit. This is a surprising truth for many fans. When Jungkook first joined Big Hit, he wasn't confident in his singing at all. He later confessed, "I couldn't sing well. I didn't know how to use my voice." He admired other trainees who sang better. He avoided singing loudly because he was shy. He recorded demos reluctantly. Big Hit staff said he had a natural tone, but not a developed technique. How did he become one of the most praised K-pop vocalists? Through relentless practice. Jungkook didn't rely on raw talent. He built his voice from scratch. Through fear, doubt, and determination, the nickname Golden Magne didn't appear overnight. It was something Jungkook grew into, slowly, painfully. Through years of training, he improved so quickly and so intensely that even staff and members noticed. Jungkook started mastering singing, dancing, rapping in early BTS demos, filming and editing sports performance coordination. His curiosity pushed him across multiple disciplines, but what the world now calls golden talent was actually fear of falling behind, desire to prove himself, quiet competitive fire, hours and hours of practice. No one saw the polished Jungkook we see today is the result of countless invisible nights. In 2012, Big Hit sent Jungkook to Los Angeles to train in dance, and not just any training, high-level choreography programs at world-class studios. This trip became one of the most defining chapters of his life. In LA, he opened up. He learned confidence. He learned to control his body. He studied hip-hop, urban choreography, and stage projection. When he returned to Korea, the change shocked the Big Hit staff. A once shy trainee was suddenly more expressive, more polished, more confident, more powerful as a performer. Was this transformation that made Bang Si-hyuk decide Jungkook will be center? People often forget that BTS came from a tiny company with almost no money to pre-debut life for Jungkook included. Practicing until 3 a.m., wearing the same clothes for days, sleeping in a cramped dorm, using outdated equipment, sharing cheap meals between members, there was no promise of success. There was no guarantee that the group would ever debut. Jungkook watched other trainees leave. He watched other groups debut before him. He wondered if BTS was going to survive, but he stayed. The months before debut were brutal. Jungkook faced exhausting vocal lessons, endless choreography revisions, self-criticism, pressure. As the youngest but most visible member, he felt he wasn't good enough. RM later revealed that Jungkook cried multiple times during the final months. He was young, and he felt a lot of pressure, but he endured. That final push created the Jungkook we know today. Focused, precise, determined, emotionally strong, he walked into debut day not as a shy boy from Busan, but as an artist ready to prove himself. When Jungkook stepped on stage at age 15 for No More Dream, something extraordinary happened. The nervous, shy trainee disappeared. The world saw a performer. His voice was stable, his dancing was sharp, his presence was magnetic. People didn't know his name yet, but they remembered him. The last member to join BTS had now become one of the most unforgettable faces on stage. December 2025, as Jungkook dominates global charts again, earns international awards, and headlines festivals the world sees. A superstar, but none of it makes sense unless you know where he came from. His pre-debut story explains his relentless work ethic, his perfectionism, his humility, his quiet confidence, his emotional connection with fans. Jungkook's journey wasn't built on luck. It was built on fear, courage, and hard choices made when he was just a boy. And that's why his story remains so deeply inspiring. After BTS debuted, many fans assumed Jungkook's skills were natural, but the truth is more complex. He practiced more intensely than anyone expected from a boy his age. Even before debut, Jungkook developed a habit that would define his entire career. If he wasn't perfect, he practiced until he was. When vocal trainers told him his breathing wasn't strong enough, he stayed late in the practice room to fix it. When dance instructors pushed him, he pushed himself even harder. When rap parts were needed, he practiced with RM and J-Hope for hours. He wasn't the best at the start, but he became the best because he refused to be anything less. This trait, so innocent at first, would later shape Jungkook into a record-breaking performer. The one member who could adapt to any concept and any performance style. Being the center of BTS was an honor, but it wasn't easy. Just 15 and 16 years old, Jungkook felt a heavy pressure that most teenagers never experience. When BTS practiced choreography, he was always placed in the middle. When photo shoots happened, he was often the visual anchor. When the group recorded songs, producers counted on him to deliver stable vocals. Older members protected him, but they also knew he had responsibilities that were not typical for the youngest. Jungkook often said, "I didn't want to disappoint the Hyungs." This responsibility shaped him. It made him sharper, more careful, more aware of expectations, but it also made him lonely sometimes, and that loneliness, hidden behind smiles, became a part of his growth. Behind Big Hit's practice room doors, Jungkook experienced moments the public never saw. There were nights when he cried quietly in the dorm, nights when he blamed himself for mistakes in practice, nights when he felt he wasn't improving fast enough. The members later shared that Jungkook struggled silently because he didn't want to burden others. Jin once said, he was the youngest, but sometimes he carried the weight of the team. These struggles shaped a deeper part of Jungkook, his humility. He never believed he was good enough, even when everyone else praised him, and that humility would become one of the traits fans love most. Before BTS became the global phenomenon we know today, the group was close to collapsing. Big Hit was small, their financial situation was unstable, their early songs didn't chart well. They were underestimated by the industry. Jungkook, still a teenager, watched the group he cared about stand on the edge of failure. He saw the fear in the older members' eyes. He saw the uncertainty around their future. He heard the whispers within the industry that BTS would never make it. For Jungkook, who had sacrificed his childhood and moved across the country for this dream, it was terrifying. But those difficult early years bonded the group like a family. Jungkook wasn't just the magne anymore. He became the emotional center, someone whose presence brought comfort and stability. One of the most fascinating parts of Jungkook's pre-debut and early debut years is how dramatically his voice changed. In early BTS music, his tone was pure, soft, almost youthful, but he worked tirelessly to strengthen his diaphragm control, vibrato improve, stability expand, vocal range deliver emotional nuance. By age 17 to 18, trainers began to notice something rare. Jungkook's vocal color had matured into one of the most distinct tones in K-pop. This wasn't a coincidence. It was the result of long nights, vocal exhaustion, and a stubborn desire to grow. His voice became the anchor of BTS songs, the recognizable opening, the emotional core, and all of that originated from the years before debut, the years he fought hardest to find a sound. Many fans don't realize how dramatically Jungkook's dance skills transformed during his trainee years. He didn't start out as the best dancer. He improved through sheer obsession. After returning from LA, dance coaches noted that Jungkook had reached a professional level far beyond his age. He understood rhythm instinctively. He picked up choreography faster than almost anyone else. He learned to transmit emotion through movement. What fans later saw in songs like I Need You, Fake Love, Dionysus, 3D, Standing Next to You, all of that was built on the foundation he forged pre-debut. Jungkook often says he grew up inside BTS. This is not poetic. It's literal. He entered Big Hit at age 13. He debuted at 15. He lived his teenage years and early adulthood surrounded by 6 older brothers. Each member shaped him differently. RM taught him leadership, wisdom, and artistic philosophy. Jin taught him humor, emotional openness, and self-care. Suga taught him discipline, musical depth, and honesty. J-Hope taught him dance passion, positivity, and professionalism. Jimin taught him warmth, teamwork, and confidence. V taught him creativity, individuality, and courage. Without the Hyungs, Jungkook would have grown differently. Their influence built him into someone versatile, resilient, and emotionally intelligent. For years, Jungkook didn't think he was special. He thought he was average. He thought he wasn't good enough. He thought he needed to chase the others. But something changed around the time BTS began earning recognition. People started noticing him. His voice, his stage presence, his charisma. He began hearing, "You're amazing. You're talented. You're unique." Slowly, he started believing it. Not fully, not loudly, but quietly inside. This shift transformed him from a self-doubting child into a confident performer. One thing insiders often reveal is Jungkook's extraordinary discipline. Even pre-debut, he was known for arriving early, staying the latest, redoing takes for hours, repeating choreography, endlessly monitoring himself through video, asking older members for feedback, pushing himself even when he was tired. He wasn't forced to do this. He chose to. He wanted to. Growed. He wanted to excel. He wanted to honor the people who believed in him. This discipline became the backbone of his career, and the reason he eventually became the global powerhouse fans know today. One of the most surprising things about Jungkook's pre-debut years is how early he began exploring creative production. Even as a trainee, he loved recording videos, editing clips, experimenting with camera angles, learning the basics of mixing, creating mini projects. These early hobbies later evolved into BTS. GCF, Golden Closet Films, series self-directed content, artistic visual storytelling, documentary-style videos, creative contributions to BTS aesthetics. His eye for detail emerged long before fans ever saw it. Before Jungkook became the global face of K-pop, industry insiders already recognized his potential. During his trainee years, producers commented, "He has the tone of a main vocal and the stage presence of a main dancer. He could become one of the best male idols in Korea. He can do anything." These weren't exaggerations, they were factual predictions based on his growth curve. Jungkook was not just talented, he was explosive. Every year, he leveled up more than expected. Every year, he grew faster than industry standards. He was, quite literally, a prodigy in development. The 3 months before BTS debuted were the most intense of Jungkook's life. He barely slept, he barely rested, he barely had personal time. Those final months demanded complete vocal control, perfect choreography, synchronization, media, training, styling, rehearsals, concept development, team bonding, mental endurance. Bang Si-hyuk later said, "Jungkook transformed completely in those last weeks. He wasn't a child anymore. He wasn't a trainee anymore. He wasn't shy anymore. He was ready." When debut day arrived, Jungkook walked on stage not as the timid teenager who joined Big Hit, but as an artist forged through years of silent battles. His pre-debut story is a mosaic of fear, courage, pressure, growth, exhaustion, transformation, hope. Every step shaped him. Every struggle refined him. Every choice mattered. And that's why the Jungkook of today, the global pop icon, the chart dominator, the sold-out performer, the cultural phenomenon, shines so brightly because his light was carved out of years of darkness, uncertainty, and determination. When Jungkook stepped onto BTS's debut stage on June 13, 2013, he wasn't just performing, he was stepping into a world he had only dreamed about. The lights were hot, the cameras were precise, the pressure was suffocating. He was terrified, but when the music started, something clicked. All the hours of training, all the tears in the practice room, all the discipline, doubt, and dreams, they fused into one moment. Jungkook performed with a raw hunger, a rookie fire that viewers instantly felt. Even critics noted his unusual presence for someone so young. It was the beginning of a journey no one, not even he, could have predicted. As BTS slowly gained fans, Jungkook found himself dealing with something he never prepared for, being watched every second. His growth spurts, his voice changes, his evolving styles, everything played out in real time. He wasn't just growing into adulthood, he was doing it while millions observed. That pressure shaped him deeply. He became more careful with words, more thoughtful with actions, more aware of the weight of influence. But it also made him stronger, sharper, wiser. Jungkook became an adult not in private, but on a global stage. Like all young idols, Jungkook made missteps. But what made him stand out was how he handled them. When fans were disappointed in something he did or said, Jungkook apologized sincerely, not with scripted statements, but with genuine self-reflection. He held himself accountable. He learned. He grew. These experiences didn't break him. They shaped him into a thoughtful, responsible public figure. Jungkook's maturity was not born from perfection, but from the courage to learn and evolve. Between 2016 and 2017, BTS skyrocketed. Billboard awards, world tours, massive fandom growth. Everything changed overnight for Jungkook. The shift was overwhelming. He went from performing in small venue arenas filled with tens of thousands, from being a Korean idol to being a global phenomenon. The scale, the noise, the attention, it was surreal, but it also awakened something inside him. The realization that his voice now had global power. He wasn't just singing for Korea anymore. He was singing for the world. Tours became the arena where Jungkook truly evolved night after night. Different cities, different cultures, different energies. Yet Jungkook delivered the same explosive performance each time. He learned how to. The controls stamina preserve his voice, manage exhaustion, connect emotionally, with thousands adapt to massive stages, fans often said. Jungkook was born for the stage. But no, he grew for it. Every concert carved his identity as BTS's center performer. Performing at Jungkook's level has a price he endured. Muscle stress, vocal fatigue, back strain, knee injury, near collapse, exhaustion. There were concerts where he pushed through pain so others wouldn't worry. There were shows where he performed sitting but still gave everything. Even managers admitted Jungkook's work ethic sometimes worried them. But he was unstoppable, not because he wanted perfection, but because he didn't want to disappoint fans. This silent sacrifice became part of his legend. Fans began calling him the Golden Magne, the youngest who could do everything at first. Jungkook smiled shyly at the nickname, but the truth is, the title added pressure. Being good at everything meant he couldn't fail, had to maintain excellency, or couldn't be ordinary. Sometimes he wondered, am I really golden, or do people just expect me to be? This internal conflict pushed him harder but also made him question his limits. Over time, though, he embraced the title, not as a burden, but as motivation. By 2018, Jungkook's voice was recognized globally. Critics praised him for clean tone, perfect pitch, emotional delivery, stable live vocals, unique timbre. His lines in Euphoria, Fake Love, Butter, and My Time became fan favorites instantly. He wasn't just the main vocalist of BTS. He became one of the defining voices of his generation. International reviewers began calling him the voice of K-pop's global era, a vocal powerhouse, a future pop icon. These weren't exaggerations. They were acknowledgments of years of work. Jungkook began experimenting with songwriting and producing. Tracks like Magic Shop, My Time, Still With You, Film Out, Your Eyes Tell showed emotional depth and artistic sensitivity. He learned production step by step, often staying awake all night reviewing demos. His ambition expanded beyond singing. He wanted to create. These early steps laid the foundation for his later solo career. 2020 was a defining year. Despite the pandemic, Jungkook grew artistically in ways fans had never seen. He released Still With You, a fan gift that revealed vulnerability, nostalgia, maturity, self-reflection. The song became a symbol of comfort during difficult times. It cemented Jungkook's image as not just a performer, but a storyteller. By 2021 to 2022, Jungkook's influence transcended music. He shaped fashion trends, viral sound bites, dance challenges, beauty standards, brand marketing strategies. Anything he touched went viral. Brands analyzed his impact. Companies studied his engagement. Media outlets called him the internet's favorite celebrity. And yet, he remained humble, grounded, soft-spoken. This contrast made him magnetic. Fans watched Jungkook evolve from shy, quiet as a tanto, charismatic, confident, powerful. This transformation didn't happen overnight. It was the result of countless performances, supportive members, growing artistic identity, love from fans, emotional resilience. Each year added a new layer to his personality. And by mid-2020s, Jungkook stood tall, not as BTS's youngest, but as a global pop giant. In 2023, Jungkook's solo career exploded. 7 shattered Spotify records, Billboard Hot 100 rankings, global streaming milestones. 3D showcased his dance pop mastery. Standing Next to You became a modern pop masterpiece. His debut solo album Golden became one of the most streamed K-pop albums in history. The world no longer saw Jungkook as the youngest of BTS. They saw him as a global soloist with unstoppable reach. Jungkook's solo achievements brought him into a different league. He performed on The Today Show, BBC, Live Lounge, global festival stages. He collaborated with major Western producers, international artists. Fashion houses, media platforms officially recognized him as a global pop star, a Spotify titan, the new face of the global K-pop wave. His rise wasn't hype. It was backed by real numbers, charts, and cultural impact. In December 2023, Jungkook enlisted. It was a pause in his career, but not in his influence. Even during his military service, His music continued to chart, his clips went viral, his brand campaigns stayed active, fan bases kept expanding, global media still discussed him. This proved one thing: Jungkook wasn't just trending, he was permanent. BY 2024 to 2025, global anticipation for Jungkook's return intensified. Articles noted increasing streaming numbers, revisits to old content spikes during anniversaries. Fans declared they were preparing for Jungkook's comeback, domination, the return of the Prince of Pop. The world wasn't just waiting, it was preparing for the next era. When Jungkook reappeared after military service, fans noticed immediate changes. He looked stronger. He carried himself differently. He spoke with deeper thoughtfulness. He wasn't a boy anymore. He wasn't even just an idol anymore. He was a man who had grown privately for the first time in his life. This new chapter symbolized rebirth. Music analysts began predicting that Jungkook's post-military era would be bigger, stronger, more global, more experimental. Many believed he was entering his true artistic prime. His pre-debut story suddenly felt like destiny, a path leading to this exact moment. When Jungkook returned to recording, producers noted increased vocal depth, richer emotional tone, improved technical control. His voice, already iconic, had matured dramatically. This marked the beginning of his next artistic evolution. Post-Woml, Jungkook's dance style evolved too. He moved with more power, more intention, more emotional storytelling. He wasn't dancing to impress anymore. He was dancing to express. This marked a new phase in his identity as a performer. The industry began to prepare for a global wave. Brands updated contracts, media drafted features, producers saved tracks for him. Fans organized global streaming projects. There was one unanimous prediction: Jungkook will dominate 2025 to 2026. Trainees began citing Jungkook as their biggest inspiration. Dance instructors referenced him as the new standard. Vocal coaches used his performances as examples. Global media called him the blueprint. This was no longer just a career, it was a legacy in progress. Despite the fame, Jungkook remained deeply human. He laughed easily. He teased the members. He cared about ARMY sincerely. He stayed humble. He carried the heart of the same Busan boy who once walked into big hit shy and scared. This humanity is what makes his story timeless. Looking back, Jungkook's life follows a powerful arc. A boy with fear, a trainee with potential, an idol with pressure, a vocalist with identity, a superstar with global reach, a man with purpose. His journey is not luck, not coincidence, not hype. It is the result of relentless work, emotional endurance, artistic evolution, sincere love for fans, a destiny shaped by passion. Everything connects, everything builds. His pre-debut struggles were not the beginning, they were the foundation. And now, as the world looks forward to Jungkook's next steps, one thing is certain: he is not done. Not even close. There are more albums to create, more performances to dominate, more stages to conquer, more stories to tell, more transformations to reveal. Jungkook's journey is still unfolding, and the world is watching with breathless anticipation, because the boy from Busan who once doubted himself has become one of the greatest artists of his generation, and his story is far from over. Silence had become one of Jungkook's most powerful languages. After years of filling stadiums with his voice, millions now learn to listen to the absence of it. Every break he took, every quiet month, every moment of pause triggered global interpretation. Was he working on something? Was he resting? Was something wrong? But in December 2025, silence became a turning point. Instead of fear, fans began to understand it as a boundary, an act of self-preservation rather than withdrawal. For the first time, silence felt like healing. Music insiders began whispering inside Seoul studios: Jungkook is producing again. Producers who once collaborated with him hinted cryptic emojis on Instagram, musical notes, gold sparkles, and globe icons. Global media picked up the hints. Some believed he was preparing part of BTS's next chapter. Others speculated a secret solo EP. Those who worked with him knew the truth. Jungkook wasn't just recording songs. He was building a soundscape, a new identity, a new era. Something big was coming, but only when he was ready. Local residents in Hanamdong started sharing small sightings. A masked young man walking alone near the river at 3 a.m. 2 security personnel trailing him from a distance. AirPods in. Head down. Hoodie up. Everyone knew who it was. Jungkook had always been a night person, but post-military, these quiet walks became therapy. Some nights he walked to think. Some nights he walked to forget. Some nights he walked simply to feel like a human again. And it was during one of these walks that inspiration for new lyrics reportedly struck. HYB's private recording facility, Studio 5, had its lights on more often than usual. Staff members noted the pattern. Lights on at 2 a.m., lights off at sunrise, coffee. Cups multiplied. Vocal booths remained warm. Inside, Jungkook recorded dozens of demos, some upbeat, some heartbreakingly quiet, some experimental. Engineers revealed that he worked obsessively, but joyfully. He wasn't chasing a deadline. He was chasing truth. One evening, Jungkook played a new demo for HYB executives. The room went silent. The track reportedly blended military recollections, vulnerability, his deepest fears, and his rebirth after hardship. One staff member said privately. When the song ended, nobody could speak for a full minute. The song was raw, painful, honest. Too honest, some thought. But Jungkook refused to hide his truth anymore. A new photo leaked, blurry, zoomed, taken from afar, but fans noticed instantly. One of Jungkook's tattoos looked modified, not removed, not altered drastically, just changed. Theories exploded. Is it symbolic? Did it mark a new chapter? Is he letting go of something? Or protecting something? For Jungkook, tattoos had always been journals written on skin, and fans knew a change always meant growth. Sources close to HYB shared that Jungkook drafted a long letter to fans in early December. IT reportedly included reflections on his military journey, fears about returning to the public eye, gratitude for fans' patience, and vulnerability about not feeling enough at times. But the letter was never posted. Instead, HYB confirmed Jungkook kept it private, perhaps waiting for the right moment, or perhaps realizing the world wasn't ready to see that part of him. A DJ in Canada uploaded a slowed, orchestral mix of Seven, calling it Seven Winter Version. Unofficial, the track exploded on TikTok. Snowy montage edits, couple videos, lonely late-night drives, nostalgic winter clips. Suddenly, Seven charted again in December 2025, 2 years after release. And fans begged Jungkook, please release an official winter version. No response, but insiders said he heard it and smiled. In late December, Jungkook attended a closed-door HYB meeting. The agenda: BTS's 2026 comeback framework. According to insiders, Jungkook listened more than he spoke. He asked few questions, but every question was sharp, strategic, purposeful. At some point, he reportedly said, "Let's not look back. Let's make something new." The room shifted. He wasn't just participating, he was leading. The dance instructor from a famous Seoul studio revealed. Jungkook booked late-night practices, and he came alone. He danced until sweat soaked his hoodie, until his legs trembled, until the mirror fogged. But there were no live streams, no behind-the-scenes videos, no teasers. He did it because movement healed him, because rhythm centered him, because returning to this stage required rebuilding the body and spirit, not for content, but for self.